Hello everyone, welcome to The Sam Fury Show. This episode is a deep dive discussion into Sam Fury's summary of Chapter 9 from the book Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. It has been created with the help of AI. The chapter is titled Advanced Techniques. You can read the original post at samfury.com.
All right, so you're rocking the profit first basics. You're allocating those profits right away, paying yourself regularly, and keeping those expenses in check. But I bet you're ready to unlock even greater financial freedom, right? That's what we're all about today, leveling up. We're diving deep into Chapter 9 of Profit First, where we get to the seriously interesting stuff. We're talking about the power moves you can make once you've got that solid Profit First foundation.
Exactly. We're talking about taking it to a whole new level. Today, we'll unpack how to fine-tune the system. We'll get laser-focused on how your money flows and ultimately how to supercharge your profitability.
Okay, so one of the most impactful strategies in the book is the 80-20 rule, right?
Sure.
The Pareto principle. You know, the idea that 80% of your results come from just 20% of your efforts. So how does that actually apply to our finances?
It applies beautifully. Seriously, think about it. 20% of your clients are likely bringing in 80% of your revenue. And flip that around, 80% of your profits are probably coming from just 20% of what you offer.
So we need to figure out who our golden geese are, those clients and products that are really driving profits. But what do we do once we know who they are? Shower them with gifts and hope they stick around.
Well, appreciation is always a good thing. But strategically, it's more about doubling down on what's already working. Exceptional service for those top clients, exceeding their expectations at every turn. And for those other clients, maybe guide them towards your more profitable offerings. Things like premium packages or specialized services, things that genuinely benefit them while also boosting your bottom line.
Makes sense. Working smarter, not just harder. And, if there are clients who just aren't a good fit for that strategy, maybe it's time for a tough conversation.
Sometimes letting go can be the best move for everyone involved. It might feel a little scary at first, but it lets you focus your energy on the most valuable relationships for you and for your business.
Now, another big question a lot of business owners have is about hiring. When can you really afford to bring on new team members? Chapter 9 has some great insights on this too.
Absolutely. Greg Crabtree, a financial expert, suggests that for tech companies, your real revenue should be 2.5 times your total labor cost before you even think about hiring. So if your real revenue, after accounting for things like materials, is $250,000, your total labor costs shouldn't be more than $100,000.
Oh, that's helpful. A concrete metric to work with instead of just relying on gut feeling. But what about businesses in other industries?
Well, for fields with what's considered cheap labor, like the fast food industry, that ratio is actually higher. It bumps up to 4 times your total labor cost because profit margins are typically lower in those types of businesses. So it's not just about whether you feel ready to hire, it's about whether your financials actually support it.
Avoiding that over-hiring trap can be a lifesaver, especially in the early stages of a business. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Chapter 9 also talks about adding more specialized bank accounts beyond the basic Profit First setup. Now, I know more accounts might sound a little overwhelming at first, but hear me out.
It's not about making things more complicated. It's actually about creating a system that works for you, almost like it runs itself. Instead of one big pot of money, imagine separate compartments, each with a very specific purpose.
So we've got the usual suspects like income and operating expenses, but then things start to get interesting. Tell me about the vault. This one sounds intriguing.
Imagine having this financial cushion, that lets you sleep soundly even during economic storms. That's what the vault is all about, your 3-month reserve tucked away in an ultra-low-risk, interest-bearing account. And the key here is to have predetermined rules for how you use that money so you don't dip into it for, those impulsive purchases.
Okay, so it's like your financial safety net, there for those unexpected bumps in the road. Now, there's another account called stocking. I'm guessing this is all about, stocking up.
Exactly. Instead of scrambling for money when a large bill comes due or you need to replenish inventory, you're consistently putting money aside. Imagine already having the money set aside when you need to buy new equipment or, bulk buy materials for a busy season.
No more last-minute stress, that's for sure. All right, so we have income, the vault, stocking. What other specialized accounts does Chapter 9 recommend?
There's the pass-through account for money that isn't technically yours, like client reimbursements. It'll eventually go towards those operating expenses. And then we get into the really specific accounts. Accounts for materials, subcontractors, commissions, employee payroll, major equipment purchases, even a DRIP account for managing lump sum payments.
Wow, that's a lot. But I can already see how this level of detail could bring so much clarity to a business owner's finances.
It's about creating a system that really reflects your unique needs, gives you a precise picture of where your money's going. And that leads us to another crucial aspect of this chapter, building a crystal clear workflow to manage all these accounts.
Okay, so it's not enough to just set up the accounts. We need to define how they all work together. What does that look like?
Think of it like creating a financial instruction manual, so clear that any employee could follow it. The book recommends using a two-table system. One table tracks the accounts at your main bank, and the other table tracks your out-of-reach accounts, like tax, profit, and vault. You keep those at a separate bank.
Interesting. So that separation is strategic, right?
Absolutely. It adds a psychological barrier, making it less tempting to just, tap into those funds. It's like putting your healthy snacks on the top shelf and the junk food out of sight, out of mind.
I love that analogy. So this instruction manual needs to cover every financial transaction, right? When money comes in, where it goes, and what triggers a transfer between accounts.
That's it. The goal is to make your financial processes so streamlined that they practically run themselves.
Now that sounds like a dream come true for any business owner. It's not just about managing your money. It's about empowering your team to take ownership of their roles.
Precisely. And with that clarity, you can start making more strategic decisions.
Now that we've got a clearer picture of our finances, let's talk about a specific calculation that Chapter 9 highlights: the minimum sales revenue.
Oh yeah, this is a good one. This calculation helps you figure out the bare minimum income you need every pay period to cover all those expenses, your profit allocation, and of course your own salary.
So helpful. I know so many entrepreneurs who they struggle with setting, realistic revenue goals. So is this calculation complicated?
Not at all.
Yeah.
Really. It starts with figuring out how much you, as the business owner, need to take home every month to cover your personal expenses. Then you add in the monthly income requirements of any other owners if there are any. Once you have that total, you just divide it in half because you're getting paid twice a month.
Got it. So we're talking real take-home pay, not just some, random number. What's next?
Okay, so then you take that halved amount and you divide it by the owner's pay percentage, the one you set in your profit first system.
Yeah.
That's it. You've got your target for the minimum income you need to generate each pay period.
Sounds so simple when you break it down like that. It takes the guesswork out of it and gives you a concrete number to aim for.
Exactly. It's all about clarity and control. And speaking of control, there are a few quick actionable tips in Chapter 9 that can make a big difference, in your financial mindset and habits.
Oh, I love those quick wins. What are some of your favorites?
Well, one that always makes me chuckle is renaming your tax account to government's money.
Oh, that's good. I love that. It's such a simple mental shift, but it really does reframe those funds as belonging to someone else. No more guilt about setting that money aside, right?
Yeah, exactly. Another good one is to just hide all your accounts except for operating expenses. In your online banking, out of sight, out of mind, right? You're less likely to make impulsive spending decisions based on what you think you have available.
Oh, it's like those apps that block social media to boost productivity.
Yeah.
You're removing the temptation to constantly check your balances and second-guess yourself.
That's a great way to put it. The chapter also talks about automating transfers from external income sources, like PayPal or Stripe, directly into your income account, of course.
Oh, that's a game changer for an efficiency. No more manual transfers or accidentally spending that money before it gets to the right place. Any other tips that come to mind?
One final tip that I think is really helpful is setting up frequent balance notifications for those key accounts, especially income and operating expenses. You could have your bank send you alerts, on your accounting days and a few days after. Helps you stay on top of your cash flow, and you can spot any potential issues early on.
It's like having your finger on the pulse of your business's financial health.
Wow.
We've covered a lot of ground today, from the 80-20 rule and strategic hiring to those specialized accounts and workflow systems. Is there anything else we should hit before we wrap things up?
Oh, yes. There's one more thing we haven't talked about. Chapter 9 mentions a really interesting account called the DRIP account.
The DRIP account, oh yes. This one seems particularly relevant for businesses that get large lump sum payments. Can you explain how this works and why it's so beneficial?
Okay, so imagine you land a big project, right? And you get this big payment up front. Now, instead of just letting that money sit in your income account, which might be tempting to spend, You transfer it to the drip account, and then you set up a system to drip, a certain amount into your operating expenses account each week or each month.
So it's like creating a controlled flow of funds. You're not blowing through that lump sum all at once.
Exactly. You manage those large payments more responsibly, and it helps to avoid those feast or famine cycles that can be so common for businesses with irregular income.
I love that. This is brilliant. I can see how this could be a game changer for freelancers, consultants, anyone who gets those big one-time payments. Now, with all these advanced techniques, it's important to remember that you don't have to implement everything at once, right? Start with 1 or 2 strategies that really speak to you and build from there.
Couldn't agree more. It's about progress, not perfection, and it's about figuring out what works best for your business.
That's such a crucial point. What works for one business might not work for another. Experiment, adapt, customize these techniques to fit your specific needs and goals.
And don't be afraid to revisit these techniques as your business grows and changes. What's relevant today might need some tweaking down the road. It's a journey of learning and optimizing.
Speaking of revisiting, I would encourage you to go back and check out Chapter 9 again in 6 months. As your business grows, you might find that different techniques become more relevant or that you're ready to try those more advanced strategies.
Yeah, it really is. Financial management's a journey, not a destination. As you move along this path, you might find that what worked in the beginning needs some adjustments as your business grows and your goals change.
It is. It's like learning a new language. You start with those basics and you gradually build up to more complex sentences and vocabulary. It's the same with Profit First Math. Master those foundational principles and then layer on these advanced techniques to really refine and optimize your financial systems.
So, as we wrap up our deep dive into Chapter 9, what's the one key takeaway you hope our listener walks away with today? What's that one thing that's going to make them go, aha, I need to try this?
I want them to feel empowered. To realize they have the power to shape their financial future and that these advanced techniques are the tools to do it. It might seem daunting at first, but remember, we're breaking it down into simple, actionable steps.
And it's not about doing it all perfectly from the get-go. It's about taking action, experimenting, and finding what works best for your business.
Exactly. Start small, focus on 1 or 2 things that resonate with you, and build from there. And don't forget to celebrate those little wins along the way. They all add up to a more financially sound and fulfilling business.
Now, before we let our listener go and start putting all this wisdom into practice, I have one last question for you. What's one thought-provoking question or idea? Something that will spark their curiosity and keep them thinking about their finances even after the episode's over. Here's something to think about. We talked about identifying those golden goose clients and products, but it's just as important to think about how you can elevate those other clients to more profitable offerings. How can you create those win-win situations where both you and your clients benefit?
That's a great challenge. It's about being intentional with how you structure your business and how you serve your clients. Maybe it's bundling packages, introducing some premium services, or even gently phasing out those low-profit things that are draining your resources without adding much value.
Right. And sometimes it means having those tough conversations and letting go of clients who just aren't the right fit. It's not always easy, but it's about prioritizing your energy and your resources and building a business that's both profitable and fulfilling.
Well said. It's been a pleasure diving into these advanced profit-first techniques with you today. I'm already feeling inspired to go and tweak my own systems and implement some of these strategies.
Me too. And I hope our listener feels that same excitement and that same sense of empowerment. At the end of the day, it's not just about making more money. It's about creating a business and a life that are financially sustainable and deeply rewarding.
I love that. Until next time, happy profiting, everyone.
Thanks for tuning in to The Sam Fury Show. If you found this episode useful, let us know with a like, follow, and share. Also, if you haven't already, be sure to visit samfury.com to get free access to all our original summaries, which you can download as PDFs, as well as other exclusive content. It's all completely free at samfury.com.